The next speaker is Mr. Jussi Peltman, the CEO of Hobie from Finland. Hobie is a chain of nursing and elderly care facilities with several subsidiaries in Northern Europe and Southeast Asia. Jussi will provide insight to the use of technology for elderly care. So Jussi, please take your place.
Thanks for the opportunity to join this very exciting seminar. The examples were quite inspirational. And so my name is Jussi Peltonen. I'm the CEO of Hobie, and I'm an entrepreneur by heart, hoping to change the lives of the elderly in meaningful ways. And as the topic today is all about, how have we changed our operations due to the COVID situation, and of course, how do we use technology in order to help the clients age gracefully in the long term. I was looking at the list of the participants, and I noticed that there's a lot of IT guys over there. So I thought that I'd bring the approach of an operator as to how do we use the technology in our everyday work, and what kind of goals do that, what are the strategic goals for that in our operations. But first, so that you get a grasp a little bit about us here. So we are a Finnish family company. The company was started about 30 years ago. My parents here in the picture, or my family, the one down there is around 30 years ago, and the one above is a bit more fresh one. But in the 80s, when my parents started this nursing home in the western part of Finland, there were no regulation really. The only things that were needed was a thermometer in the room as well as a curtain. And since then, a lot has changed. And I think at the moment, Finland is probably one of the heaviest regulated healthcare sectors in the world. So that's the background where we come from. And at the moment, we are running 6 nursing homes here in Finland. And we have senior daycare facilities both in Singapore and in Indonesia. So we've sort of converted the Nordic approach into, let's say, Asian specifics. And it's been really, really interesting. Especially the Indonesian operations. We signed our first franchising agreement with them in the late part of 2019. And it's so we use technology to be able to both package a ready set of tools for them to run their operations, but also from our perspective, it also creates that transparency towards the operations up there in Indonesia, where we can monitor and give guidelines and assistance for them in their own operations as well. So it has sort of two folds of importance in it. The other interesting thing, I think, for us here in Finland was that they insisted that we change the logo a little bit, and we add the senior care from Finland into the t-shirts and into the logos. So it seems that the Indonesians do value the Finnish and let's say the Nordic approach on healthcare. But really, what we are here for, as our slogan says, own your life. It's all about how do we help our clients live their lives to the fullest in their own terms. So that means that if you have limitations and by as you grow older, the amount of choices that you get to make in your own lives deteriorates, and we want to sort of push that back a bit and make sure that the clients get to have choices in their lives, so that they're the decision-making power in their own lives. It's all about the openness and transparency of the operations. The family members sort of give their loved one for us for their care, so we need to make sure that they can sleep well during night when we are taking care of their mothers and fathers. It's all about the positive outlook and also the memorable service experience. And I think that's exactly what Elena was just showing us, is how can we use technology to sort of encourage and enforce the actual service experience during that operations. All right. So then the question is, how do you combat cognitive deterioration? And if we go back a bit and we sort of figure out why would we need to combat this cognitive deterioration. And so we want to slow down the process of a memory loss. And I came across to a toolbox a couple of months ago where a company has set up a set of different types of tools where the staff members can train and try out different ways of putting themselves into the elderly people's shoes with a cognitive deterioration. And I thought that this slide was kind of exciting because if you try to read that through and you try to measure how do you feel at the moment, you're probably a bit startled. You can be a bit confused, and imagine if this continues, you most likely would get agitated. So in a similar way, a person with dementia is struggling to make sense of the environment, the surroundings, and it's not a very comfortable situation to be in, and that's why I think it's really important to sort of try to work towards keeping yourself insane in that world surrounding you as long as possible. So the next question is, how do we then do that? And there was a Finnish study. It's called Finnish Geriatric Intervention Study to Prevent Cognitive Impairment and Disability. The study is called The Finger. And it pointed out that a holistic intervention can prevent or delay that impairment. So there are things that you can do in order to slow down the progress of dementia. And basically the study found out 5 different areas where you need to look into. There's the social activities. You need to be able to interact with other people. The nutritional guidance, which is basically to eat healthy. You need some cognitive activities, to keep your brain moving, brain training. And then the exercise, the actual physical exercise. And the last one was the vascular factors management. And that basically means things like take care of you don't get diabetes, cholesterol, smoking, high blood pressure, and obesity. So basically, you should try to live a healthy life, as we doctors always tell you. Anyway, so all of these 5 areas need to be looked into, and then if we sort of put ourselves in our client's shoes, we are most often approached by the daughters of the family members, and they are struggling to sort of find a solution for their parents or their husband's parents. And our clients are grouped into sort of 3 general categories. The first one is regarding the social wellness. People are lonely. So they don't have a place where they could go into and have a meaningful discussion. That could be because they are more bound in their own homes, so they don't get to see friends. Or it could be that, due to their old age, actually the friends are dying and they're not making new ones. The second group of people are relating to the physical wellness. which is mostly about mobility. You might be stuck in your wheelchair, or you're using a rollator, and eventually you could be coming back from the operation, and you need some rehabilitation to get yourselves moving again. And the third one, and the biggest group, is the ones with different issues on memory. And I was just checking with our local CEO in Singapore, and he said that 100% of our clients suffer some level of memory loss. So it could be like early stage dementia, or it could be late stage dementia, but it's really, really common. And basically, depending on the client situation, we need that holistic approach. So it means that we tailor a program for our clients, and that issue is of course emphasized, but all of these three elements will be present in the daily operations, which means in practice on the daily program that we are providing to our clients. All right. So then the interesting thing, how do we then use technology in all this? And our, let's say, the service portfolio is quite wide range, because we want to provide an end-to-end elderly care concept. And here on the right-hand side, you see the Hobie Club, which is the physical location where our clients come in the mornings and then they leave in the afternoon. And that's where most actions are guided towards the rehabilitation. And again, the three components: social rehabilitation, memory rehabilitation, and the physical rehabilitation. We also use, and this is probably a Finnish thing, the green care, which is the use of nature and the animals to support the well-being of the clients. Then if we go to the second tier, which is the home care part, we provide our services also to the customers' homes, which is the ADLs, as we've just been talking about, or the nursing care. So that's sort of the basic stuff. But I think the interesting thing here for us is also the second tier on the Hobie Online, and that has two different types of services. One is the online care, which I'll be showing you shortly, and then the Hobie Artificial Intelligence Safety Net, which is brand new stuff. So I'll show you that too, as well as what's going on, how to use technology in the rehabilitation of our clients. Now, if we start with the online daycare, this is something that, again, due to the COVID situation, we had to come by. We were forced to close down our senior daycare facility in the beginning of this year, and we were pretty worried that how do our clients cope with not having those kind of interactions. So we started thinking on how do we extend our reach to the clients' homes, and the first worry was that, are we able to actually engage the clients for that period of 2 hours that our sessions last? And for those clients, and most of them do have some dementia, that was a big issue for us. Another thing that we soon realized was that we need assistance from the client's family in order to help the client to have a place where they can be in their own peace, which means that there's no distractions, and thus we are able to have that interaction with the client during that 2 hours. So one key thing for us was that we needed to prepare lots of material. So and we needed that holistic approach as well, which means that we have material for physical training, we have material for social activities, and we have materials for the memory part. So it could be different type of puzzles, memory games, karaoke is very social, different topics for discussion. We have the physical training on videos where the customer is following us, and different types of reminiscence tools as well. And on top of all that, we needed a lot of, let's say, contingency plans on, what happens if things don't go according to our initial plans. And so the clients enjoyed it, and I'll show you a couple of videos on the physical training and one on the social things, so that you get to see, again, how the clients interact throughout that game.
The other hand over to the other hand and take from the wrist, from bottom. See the picture? Yeah, okay, go up to the shoulder. Okay, go up to the shoulder. Okay, go down again.
So again, both of our clients are in late stage dementia, and still they were able to follow the instructions individually in their own homes, which was quite remarkable. We were locked down a couple of months, and I have to say that unfortunately some of our clients who were not able to attend this online care, nor they were able to come to visit us, they did not return either after the lockdown because their condition had deteriorated. So that means that these things do have an impact on clients' well-being. Okay. One more interesting thing with the use of technology is the scalability. Some of our clients have their family members in different parts of the world. So again, we can also provide these therapies to those clients probably not residing in Singapore. All right. The next case that I want to show you was the Hobie artificial intelligence safety net. And this is something that we are just taking into use here in Finland. And the purpose of that is to provide that extra sense of security. So how do we make sure that our clients are well, also on those times when they're probably not necessarily with us? And we soon found out that technology is actually better in some things than us humans are. And for example, regarding the slowly changing trends in clients' well-being, for us who are close to the clients, we cannot necessarily really depict those changes that happen over a long period of time, but technology can do that. What the artificial intelligence does is that it takes the notes that our nurses are writing every day on our clients. It adds the diagnosis of the clients as well as medication history. The data can also be augmented by adding in data from the wearables, if you have an activity wristwatch or something of that sort, or you can also add notes by let's say the family members can make notes as well, which sort of brings the let's say us together around that client and thus supporting the client's well-being. And one other source of data could be or is the different type of measurement tools, like for the blood pressure or glucose on those kind of things. So basically what the system does, it helps us first to prioritize who needs attention. So we have the clients who need immediate attention, and then the ones that require attention within 3 days and within a month. So that helps us to guide our efforts. And then, of course, the question is, how urgently should this be done? And then when we go into a bit more deep in depth into that particular client, we will have a list of different types of, let's say, metrics that the system is running all the time. And then we will start looking at, where is the problem with this client. The system will notify and sort of show us for each case there has been some issues like health-related concerns, issues on ADLs, the person might have resisted care, and also it gives us like a recommendation on what kind of devices could the customer benefit from. And then once we've gone through all of this, we see that perhaps the root cause actually seems to be the pain, because the pain has been occurring on the same day as we've had these times when the client has resisted care. If you dig a little bit deeper, the next question is, of course, how long did this last? So we see that the period has been about 3 weeks, and then we see when did this start. And again, this is something that the staff members are not necessarily seeing so easily. So then, based on that information, we can see what happened. Was it a fall? Was there a change of medication? Could the customer have an infection? And that way we can sort of go into client's details and see, what can we do? The system won't make decisions for us. We need to do that ourselves, but it helps us guide our focus. Next, and the last thing that I want to show you was the technology we use on rehabilitation. These machines here are the HER machines. They are air-pressured machines which are safe for the elderly. And the way it works is that you show your smart card to the equipment. It adjusts the weights automatically, and it gives you the amount of repetition that you're needed. So basically, after you've done all that, it's very safe. You do exactly what you're told to, and then afterwards it'll give you a report on your progress, which is again the motivation that we were just talking about earlier, how to make sure that we keep the clients active. This thing here is a HER machine also. It's called a cyber cycle, and you see the leverages here on the for the hands. It basically helps the client to focus on the eye-hand coordination, which is good for the brain, and it's you sort of do practice without even noticing it. The second thing that I want to show you was the Memoera game, which is specially designed for the elderly. And in here, the user interface needs to be really simple. There are 2 buttons, on and off, change game. And you see that the tablet has actually been sort of hidden inside that box, so it's not so intimidating. And the interesting thing here is that even if it's meant for one person, very often it's a group of people playing together. So it's actually a social thing, even if you sort of first didn't notice that. And then lastly, I'll show you the Wellness Nordic Relaxation Chair. It's a vibrating, reclining chair with music, and it sort of emulates the feeling of being in the womb. Some clients really enjoy it very much. They relax well. Also, some people don't, because it gives them nausea because of the rocking motion that the system does. But what's common with all these is that it's fun, and I think that's really important. The experience needs to be good, and this way you're getting rehabilitation even if you don't necessarily notice it. All right, as a summary, so these things that we do here, valuing customers' individual choices. For example, the online care. We need a host of different selection for the client to choose from. We used artificial intelligence to provide the openness and the transparency for our operations. And the positive outlook and the memorable service experience comes by having those fun things to work with. Finally, even if we have all that technology, it's still about people and a little bit about the animals too. All right, thanks a lot for the attention, and again, my contact details are here. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. We will hear you also on the panel later on.